Business plan is perhaps the most critical document in your business immigration application. Today we will be discussing just that. With me today is Owen Angus Yamada, our specialist at Sobirovs Law Firm. Welcome to the studio.
Thanks for having me back, Rahmat.
Just to warm up, can you tell us a little bit briefly, what's the importance of a business plan in a business immigration application?
Yeah, it helps communicate to the IRCC what the intentions are for the business and provides a lot more background information and where the business is going to be going. It's effectively like a roadmap for why you want to go through this specific program. And without it, it doesn't provide enough information to the IRCC to make a decision on your work permit or permanent residency application.
Where do you start?
Business plan writing is kind of just like writing in general. You want to start at a very broad picture of the situation and then get more and more specific with the details.
What are some of the most common pitfalls you've seen in business plans submitted for Canadian business immigration?
So kind of going off that point with finding a template online, I think kind of following that a bit too rigidly and trying to get information just to fill it out. I think what you end up with typically is just a plan that's way too general. Let's go back to kind of a convenience store, and you said, I want to open a convenience store in Toronto. I think that's it's just too general. It applies to too many businesses, and that's where you really, by ignoring the specifics, you are making generally a weaker plan because there's so many more details, like what are the licenses required, why this specific location, is there the real estate available, what's the cost of the real estate, what's the cost to renovate it to get it so really getting all of those details is going to strengthen the plan. And if you just stop at the first step, which is just getting the general information, you're going to have a bad plan.
What is the importance of putting realistic financial expectations in your business plan?
Well, I think first and foremost, the plan is for you yourself, the entrepreneur, and so you don't really want to put unrealistic numbers and get your expectations to be overly high. I think you want to be a bit more realistic, even be more conservative and say, if something is, what if I don't hit these numbers? Like, what's the minimum number I need to hit in order to make this business venture worthwhile for me, or at least break even?
Yeah. And the caveat to this is we are talking with Owen about starting brand new business, because if you buy an existing business in Canada, there's some history of sales, history of profit, and so on. So you can back up with that evidence too, and then improve the business once you purchase as a foreign entrepreneur.
Exactly.
What other pitfalls have you seen in your career?
One is not really understanding who the audience is. So obviously for business immigration, the IRCC, provincial authorities, the community might be reading this plan. So you want to understand that. I think a big pitfall in just writing a plan. So you mentioned business plan writers, actually. I'm going to stop on that point. A business plan writer can help you think through some of the details that you might not have already thought through. But they shouldn't be there to completely replace you. Actually, the biggest value, in my opinion, that a business plan writer brings is that they actually help you write the plan for the desired audience that you want. So obviously, in my role for immigration, it's understanding what the IRCC and Immigration Canada is looking for and what kind of details are important to them and which ones aren't going to be that important, because you could write a very long, heartfelt story in your plan, but at the end of the day, you want to kind of get to the meat of the business. And so not understanding the audience is a huge pitfall, and probably actually the biggest pitfall that you can make, because it doesn't matter, what you know, it's really how you're able to communicate it. And if you're writing in a way that you assume the audience just knows exactly what you're talking about, so you've been to, I think, Collision Conference last year, right? Yeah. And they're just throwing out buzzwords, and people are saying, what's your MRR, ARR, what's the churn on this? If you don't speak the language, you have no idea what the heck they're talking about. Yeah. And so you really want to make sure that you're making it very clear to the audience what you're communicating, because again, it might work perfectly for one audience, and it might make no sense to another audience. And if it doesn't matter if it works for one audience, if it doesn't make sense for the desired audience, it's just not a good plan. And I think that's a flaw in just generally immigration plans, is understanding it in the context of the entire situation. It's not just, here's a plan, and then here's a bunch of other, like if someone works on a plan and then you have a bunch of other documents maybe contradict the plan itself, in that case you need to look at the holistic view of the business plan.
Let's go with the other pitfalls. Business viability. What is the significance of demonstrating business viability and perhaps in certain cases innovation in the business plan?
Demonstrating it. I mean, that's difficult because you'd have to actually have some tangible evidence to show the viability of it, to properly demonstrate it. I think depending on where you are in the stage of the business. So for example, let's take a startup business. If they have sales and customers, ideally in Canada, then you're able to demonstrate some viability and say, hey, look, I have customers. People are wanting this for the business. Whereas if you were to start with a completely new innovative project, you can't really show that. You can't say, oh, I have customers, because you don't. Yeah. But what you can do is you can maybe get people some letters from potential customers saying, hey, I'm interested in this. And you can also just kind of build the rationale why people want this. What is the pain point that this product or service is fulfilling? Yeah. And is it a big enough one that people actually want at the price point that you're going to be charging it for? So I think viability is kind of one of those kind of case by case, and really just about developing the right arguments and evaluating in a logical sense.
I have to ask this question. We are living in the age of AI and ChatGPTs of the world. What if I say, as a business immigration applicant, I'll go to and ask ChatGPT to draft me a business plan for my immigration? What do you say to that?
Personally, I don't know why, but I can just tell exactly when it's ChatGPT, even if it's actually really well done. ChatGPT sort of has a certain way of writing, and obviously things might develop and that might change, but personally, I don't like ChatGPT. There's two main reasons for it. One, like I just said, it has a specific way of writing that typically kind of goes back to my first pitfall, too general. It can't possibly get more specific for you because it just hasn't thought through those level of details yet. And maybe one day we'll get there where ChatGPT will be able to tell you exactly where to open a business and why, but right now it can kind of only give you a very general view of it. The second end of it is I think it really strips away a lot of the challenging thought process that goes into business plan writing. I wrote about this actually last year in an article where business plan writing really, the outcome is obviously a plan, but it's really more of an exercise to help you think about all of the variables and how they all go together that go into a business. And sometimes you just kind of go through that exercise and you stop because you're missing a key component to be able to actually execute this business. And if you just sort of try to streamline and you go from, I want to open shop A, ChatGPT write me a business plan about it, then you're kind of really missing out on a lot of important points to think about the plan for you. And again, that's where a good plan writer comes in and says, what are the points that you need to do? Don't tell me, tell me where your starting points are, but let's discuss them and kind of flush them out to figure out what we know and what we don't know, and be able to write a plan around that.
How can seeking professional help improve the quality and success rate of your business plan success for immigration purposes?
I think generally, if you're writing a business plan and there is some sort of desired outcome from it, like getting a loan, applying to Immigration Canada, you would be best to have a writer support you in that process because they're able to help you, one, avoid those pitfalls, and as well as write better for the desired audience. And so I think when you have a good writer in your corner, you improve your chances of kind of getting the desired outcome that you want.
I hope you liked today's conversation. Thank you, Owen, for another meaningful talk. Again, we'll have you back very soon. But if you have any questions, any comments, feedback, please leave those in the comment section. We will read them all. And if you like this content, make sure you subscribe and hit that like button. Thank you very much again for your time.
Thanks, Rahman.
Cheers.